Welcome back to the Cognitive Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Clint Ray, high performance coach, speaker, and author of The Cognitive Athlete. We're in week 6 of this 10-week training cycle. So far, we've stabilized your pace, we have protected your energy, designed structure, rebuilt your focus, and aligned your day with your biology. Now, we move into something most professionals completely misunderstand: capacity. Not how to survive your workload, how to expand what you can handle without burning out. Because if you try to operate at maximum intensity every single day, you don't become elite, you become injured. Athletes know this, the military knows this, yet corporate life, we ignore it. This week, we stop straining your brain and start training it. Let's dive into it. Let me ask you something. Imagine a 100-meter sprinter deciding, I'm going to run at race pace every single day, flat out, maximum nervous system output, no variation, no recovery. How long before they pull a hamstring? Elite sprinters don't train at maximum every day. They vary their intensity, they build gradually, they run controlled sessions, they sprint strategically, they recover deliberately. Speed is built through intelligent overload, not ego. Now, look at corporate life. We have back-to-back meetings, constant task switching, late night decisions. We are always on. That's cognitive max every day. And then we wonder why people are burning out. That's not high performance. That's injury waiting to happen. Have you ever heard of Parkinson's law? Parkinson's law says work expands to fill the time you have available. Give yourself 8 hours. It'll take 8 hours. Give yourself 75 focus minutes and something interesting happens. You sharpen, you prioritize, you cut the fluff. Capacity doesn't grow by stretching the time. It grows by increasing the depth inside that constraint. Most professionals aren't overloaded with work. They're overloaded with all of this unfocused time. That's different. When I was in the RAF, we didn't take someone from the classroom straight into combat. Important thing, pressure was layered. First, you learn the skill. Second, you practice the skill in a controlled environment. Then you add some observation and feedback. Then you add a little bit of stress to that situation. Then you add some unpredictability in the environment or task, and then it's repetition. Only when someone could perform that skill consistently under increasing pressure were they then cleared to go into combat. No one was thrown into full chaos on day one. The capacity was earned, it was built, it was progressive, and it was layered. Now let's bring this into the corporate world. We often do the complete opposite. We throw people into constant high pressure environments and call it, hey, that's development. That's not development. That's actually unmanaged load, which increases the stress massively. The saying goes, you don't rise to the level of the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. I see this in corporate all the time. That's why the one-day leader program does not prepare you to be an effective leader. Now let's look at strain versus training. And here's the distinction. Strain is uncontrolled pressure, whereas training is deliberate load. And strain looks like, and you've probably experienced this, 6 hours of meetings back to back, emails in between those meetings. You have urgent decisions that need to be done before the end of the day or before your global meeting at 10 p.m. No decompression in between meetings. Now, that is not training, that's strain. Now let's look at that in terms of training, what that looks like. There is one defined stretch block. We have a clear outcome in that time. It's focused intensity for that period of time. And after that, you have recovery built in. One drains you, where the other actually expands your capacity. So you're probably asking yourself, what does capacity really mean? Let's define this properly. Cognitive capacity is not how busy someone can be. It's not how many meetings that they attend. It's not how much responsibility that you can pile on people. Cognitive capacity is this: your ability to maintain decision quality and emotional stability as complexity increases. In simple terms, how much cognitive load you can carry before your performance drops or diminishes. Now, let me give you a real example. And I often hear managers say this about their direct reports. Clint, I want you to come in and help build their leadership capacity. Great, I say. But then I ask them, what's the training plan? And usually I get, well, they're attending more meetings, they're presenting at events, they're taking on more responsibility. That's not capacity building. That's more exposure. And exposure without preparation is strain. Throwing someone into a high-stakes tender pitch and hoping they grow from it doesn't build cognitive capacity. It does the opposite. It actually overwhelms their working memory. It spikes stress, it narrows their thinking, and when they stumble, everyone says, they just need some more confidence. No, that's not structured load. If someone needs to handle senior meetings better, you don't just throw them in. You need to train all of the little components. So you need to rehearse the structure of the meeting. You need to practice the clarity. You simulate pressure gradually. And then you automate parts of that task. Why do we do that? Because when structure becomes automatic, cognitive load actually drops. When cognitive load drops, working memory frees up. When working memory frees up, decision quality actually improves. That's capacity. Capacity isn't built by chaos. It's built by progressive overload. Load, recover, refine, repeat. That's how ceilings rise. Let me finish this with something really simple. Think about when you passed your driving test. The day you passed, you are legally allowed to drive. But were you an experienced driver? No. You can technically operate that vehicle, but your cognitive capacity behind the wheel is still really quite low. You're hyper aware, you're really tense, you're probably sweating, you're thinking about every single gear change, every mirror check, every indicator. Your working memory is really overloaded. Now, fast forward that 10 years. You drive in heavy rain, in the dark, on the motorway, with kids screaming in the backseat, and you're relatively calm. Why is that? Because experience built your capacity, not just the exposure. Repetition reduced cognitive load. Certain behaviors now become actually automatic, which then frees up your working memory, which increased your decision bandwidth, which improved emotional regulation. That's cognitive capacity in action. It's not about being allowed to perform. It's about being able to perform without degrading under load. And that only comes from structured repetition, not just random pressure. So how do we move this from theory to training? And here's the point. Capacity isn't built by being thrown in the deep end. It's built the same way that you have become a confident driver. Structured repetition, increasing the complexity, and then recovery between those exposures. Which means this week isn't about doing more, it's about training deliberately. Right, let's make this practical. Week 6, how do we build capacity? This week, we want to introduce controlled cognitive overload. No chaos, no longer hours, structured intensity with these 3 actions. Action number 1. Install one daily stretch block. Just one block during the day, that's it, between 45 to 60 minutes during your peak window, which you've already identified. Choose something slightly beyond your comfort zone. So whether it's a strategic problem, a complex piece of thinking, a high stakes decision that you've been avoiding, maybe it's a document that requires your depth and analysis. No inbox, no switching, no multitasking. This is your sprint session, not your shuffle. You are deliberately stretching your cognitive ceiling. Number 2, use Parkinson's law to increase your intensity. Instead of saying, I'll work on this all afternoon, say, I have 60 minutes of focus time. Constraint increases clarity. That constraint forces you to prioritize, and it also reduces all of the fluff. Remember this, work expands to fill the time available, but capacity expands when focus is compressed. This is how you build depth without extending your day. We're not adding hours, we're increasing quality inside of those hours. Number 3, recover like it's part of your plan. After your stretch block, take 5 to 10 minutes. Go for a walk, step outside, hydrate, breathe. Whatever you do, do not scroll on your phone or answer emails. This is a reset, because adaptation happens after that load. If you stack stretch blocks on stretch blocks on stretch blocks, we're not training, you're actually straining, and that strain lowers your ceiling. Recovery actually raises your ceiling. 3 actions for this week. You shouldn't feel wrecked this week. You should feel stretched, challenged, but still stable. Like leaving a solid training session. You're tired, but you feel stronger. If you feel tired every day, you're maxing out. If you feel slightly stretched and sharper over time, you're building capacity. That's the difference. Okay, there we go. Let's do a quick roundup. We've talked about a lot of things. Cognitive capacity is your ability to maintain decision quality and emotional stability as complexity increases. You don't build that by throwing yourself into chaos. You build it like a sprinter builds speed, progressively, deliberately, with recovery. Exposure alone doesn't build capacity. Structured repetition does. Next week, we'll tackle the big question around stress, because stress isn't the enemy. It's unmanaged recovery that breaks you down, and we'll unpack exactly how that works. If this episode has hit home, hit follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who thinks being busy equals being effective. And if you haven't yet, grab a copy of The Cognitive Athlete. It expands your entire framework in practical detail. Thanks for listening. And remember, you don't grow by grinding at maximum every day. You grow by training intelligently. See you next time.